I'm Teresa Woodard in Dallas, and here are your headlines from North Texas. A grandmother in Fort Worth is sharing her grief. Her grandson died when his uncle's car collided with a train last week. That uncle is now charged with manslaughter. But as Adriana De Alba reports, the family is already focusing on forgiveness.
In the courtyard of this Fort Worth apartment complex, a young boy used to play. Now his grandmother sits, surrounded by silence and loss.
Mom, I made a mistake. I'm so sorry.
Fabian Riojas is her son, the driver, the 24-year-old uncle who had just picked up 5-year-old Emilio Martinez from school. Fort Worth police say on Wednesday, as a passenger train got closer, cross arms went down, warnings signaled. But Riojas drove around the barriers, trying to beat the TRE train. Then it slammed into his car. She says Fabian called her from the scene.
I think Emilio, he's dead.
Her playful grandson she saw daily, gone. She says she's not defending what happened, but she cannot turn away from her son. I'm not justifying what Fabian did, but he made a mistake, and it's a mistake we're all going to have to live with for the rest of our lives, especially him. It's not just pain, it's immense emptiness. She feared this tragedy would break her family until her other son, the little boy's father, said something she didn't expect. My other son said, I forgive him because I know he's going to have to live with this tragedy for the rest of his life. But forgiveness does not take away the hurt. It hurts because I won't get to see him ever again. Fort Worth police say Fabian, the boy's uncle, is charged with manslaughter for the traffic accident. A split-second move behind the wheel, leading to a tragedy that will stay with this family for a lifetime. In Fort Worth, I'm Adriana De Alba.
2 North Texas men are accused of plotting to invade an island off Haiti. According to an indictment, they plan to murder all of the men on Gonave and use the women and children as sex slaves. Jobin Paniker spoke with their attorney about those claims.
What is outlined in this federal indictment reads like a wild fiction novel. Instead, they are allegations against 2 North Texans in their 20s, Gavin Weisenberg and Tanner Thomas. The U.S. Attorney's Office says the two plotted to, quote, take military control of the island of Gonave, just off the Haiti coast with a population of 87,000 people. The indictment reads their plan was to, quote, murder all the men on the island and turn the remaining women and children into sex slaves. And they do that with the area's homeless population to serve as members. We spoke with attorneys for both men. This is John Helms.
Tanner's going to be entering a plea of not guilty on Monday.
And Gavin Weisenberg is represented by attorney David Finn.
These are some very serious allegations. We take them seriously, but at this point, that's exactly what they are, simply allegations. I'm encouraging everyone to hold the horses, tap the brakes, and reserve judgment.
Neither attorney tells us they have the evidence and are limited in what they can say. The main question is how much did these 2 men conspire to carry out this military coup? The indictment reads in their, quote, planning and scouting targets, Thomas enlisted in the Air Force.
My understanding is that he had wanted to enlist in the military long before any of this stuff happened.
The indictment also reads Weisenberg joined this fire academy in Rockwall. He was dismissed in February of this year.
Attention on a case like this is understandable because it's weird and unusual. And so it's not like anything people have heard about. My only concern is I want him to get a fair trial.
Both face a second federal count of child sexual exploitation and child porn. It is unclear how this is related to the plot. Both attorneys say their clients will plead not guilty, and both attorneys plead for the public to look beyond the U.S. Attorney's catchy headlines.
That this is the crime of the century, the crime of the year, the crime of the month. I submit to you, stay tuned, because it ain't.
In DFW, I'm Jobin Paniker.
A popular North Texas brewery, whose beers you can find all across the state, will soon have a new home. Revolver Brewing posted a message on Facebook saying it will close its taproom in Granbury on December 6th, and it's going to move to a new location in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Revolver did not say exactly where its new home will be, but said it would soon share more details. One of the fastest growing cities in the entire country is right here in North Texas, and it is experiencing a growth problem. The city of Princeton tried to pump the brakes on new development, but as Cole Sullivan reports, a legislative change created a loophole big enough for a subdivision to fit through.
Watch your step a little bit. We have the lake over there, Lake Lavon, you can see real well.
The view didn't bring Ricky Elmore here, but it helped.
And it's nice, quiet. I can bring my telescope out here.
The tranquility is why he convinced his wife Shirley to move to Princeton nearly 40 years ago.
And she thought I was crazy. She goes, it's so desolate out there and everything. I said, honey, you gotta have a vision.
But he didn't see this coming.
I looked at the graph a while ago about the population, and it's doing this.
The Collin County town he moved to for quiet has made some noise as the fastest growing city in America.
We needed to slow down. I mean, you just be driving by, next thing you know, you'll see it. Everything just cleared out. They're either building a new school or 150 new houses.
Census data shows a 30% increase in population here in just 1 year.
A lot of the growth is unchecked right now, and it's just build, build, build.
Mayor Eugene Escobar wanted to pump the brakes. The city put in place a moratorium on new building permits last year.
Today is a critical point for Princeton to determine how you want to look. So putting the moratorium in place helps us catch up on the infrastructure, helps us plan the water, helps us plan how we want homes to look.
But for some, a new law made getting around the building ban easy. 2 years ago, legislators allowed people with property outside a city's limits, the red, but still in the buffer zone under some city control, in gray, to opt out of that sphere of influence.
So it doesn't really matter no more. They have the money, they have, the empowered, they can do whatever they want, and they don't understand what they're doing. It's affecting us.
And he says it undercut the building permit moratorium Princeton put in place. Data we reviewed found a spike in opt-outs, 36% higher after the ban.
Would you say this is the biggest issue Princeton faces?
Yes, it's the unchecked growth.
And now the legislature has put more restrictions on how cities can implement building permit bans. Princeton will end theirs at the end of the month.
How do you feel about that?
I think that what they're doing right now is taking the voice of the people away, because people elect us to give them what they want.
Elmore says he can now see where all this growth is going.
And we're running out of detours while they're doing the construction.
He's considering moving out as thousands move here.
It don't take Nostradamus to figure that out, what it's going to look like. And I don't want a part of it.
In Princeton, I'm Cole Sullivan.
And those are your headlines from North Texas.
I'm Adriana Alexander. Here are your headlines from Central Texas. New court documents reveal more details in the ongoing Army criminal investigation of a former Fort Hood Army doctor. The documents include a temporary restraining order filed by the ex-wife of Carl R. Darnall, Army Medical Center OBGYN Blaine McGraw. He's accused in a civil lawsuit of secretly recording dozens of patients during their exams, and according to the documents, it wasn't just patients. 6 News reporter Juliana Jackson has more on what investigators found.
A civil lawsuit filed against Major Blaine McGraw on November 10th in Bell County's 146th District Court alleges he sexually exploited patients by secretly recording them during medical exams, conducted invasive and unnecessary procedures, and made sexual comments during their appointments. Now, new court documents filed in Bell County shed more light on the ongoing U.S. Army investigation into the allegations. According to a petition for a temporary restraining order filed November 19th by McGraw's ex-wife, Julia Carroll, she's seeking full custody of their child. In an affidavit attached to the petition, Carroll states military police detectives came to her home on October 23rd and told her family about an ongoing investigation into McGraw. She alleges authorities told her they identified over 40 victims, all of whom were McGraw's patients, whom he video recorded their private parts without their knowledge or consent. In addition, the affidavit says McGraw had video recordings of another alleged victim while she was naked. Kenny Carroll is a veteran married to McGraw's ex-wife. He says the situation has been difficult for the family.
Like I said, my wife is married to him. We share kids. and we got a good picture of what's going on. I'm just surprised they haven't pressed charges yet.
Fort Hood has reviewed McGraw's appointment logs, identifying 1,400 potential patients and sent notification letters to all of them, according to Fort Hood Public Affairs. Fort Hood says when they became aware of the accusations, McGraw was suspended and all of his access to patient records was revoked. Carroll says he hopes this case leads to changes in how the military handles these situations.
The enlisted officer relationship is a very tricky relationship. And if even as a patient-doctor relationship, if a major tells you you can't bring a chaperone in, and you're a sergeant, what are you going to do? Yes, sir, and you move on. That's the military way.
According to Navy records, he began his military service as a Navy ensign in 2004 through the Armed Forces Health Professions Scholarship Program, serving until 2006. Navy Public Affairs didn't explain why he left the Navy, but in 2007, he joined the Army as a battalion physician assistant at Fort Campbell, Kentucky, including a deployment to Afghanistan. McGraw completed his OBGYN residency at Tripler Army Medical Center in Hawaii from 2019 to 2023. After finishing his residency, he was assigned to Fort Hood. He also served as an OBGYN physician during a deployment to Iraq and Syria before coming back to Fort Hood. An Army spokesperson explained to 6 News how the transfer process works for military physicians, saying the Army looks to make sure there are no open investigations, adverse actions, or flags on their record that would prevent them from moving. Officials at Tripler confirmed McGraw was assigned there as a resident and that no charges were filed against him during that time. But on November 21st, they announced they were also notifying any patients who had seen McGraw that he is under investigation by Army CID. Carroll says the family wants to see accountability.
I just want to see real justice, and the victims get the help they need and the change that we need.
Now, no criminal charges have been filed at this time. McGraw's attorney sent 6 News a statement about his ex-wife's petition for full custody, saying, quote, Dr. McGraw's relationship with his daughter is private. He loves his daughter with all his heart. The petition is merely an allegation that will be addressed appropriately in court. Any attempts to make this matter public are not in any child's interest. And those are your headlines from Central Texas.
Hello, everybody. I'm meteorologist Jesse Hawila out of Dallas. And as we take a look at our Texas headlines, we'll have rain and thunderstorms. Some of those severe, especially in east and southeast Texas on Monday. Tuesday looks like a dry and pleasant day across really the entire state. Wednesday, maybe a little bit of rain down toward Corpus and Brownsville, but cooler temperatures for many outside of that. There is a look at your Texas headlines, your forecast for the next 3 days. Corpus Christi, see that little chance of rain I mentioned there on Wednesday. But Monday, Austin, DFW, Houston will be included in this chance. San Antonio and Waco, you'll have a chance for scattered showers and thunderstorms. And the severe risk, like I mentioned, mainly East Texas, mainly Southeast Texas as well. Cooler temperatures, though, by the end of that period. 54 at Amarillo on Wednesday, 58 DFW. That's pretty chilly. 57 in Lubbock, 68 San Antonio, and 60 in Waco. So high temperatures on Monday. The warmth down in South Texas, 84 degrees in Brownsville, 83 Corpus, Houston 81, San Angelo 69, DFW 73. So warm air. This is warmer than normal for this time of the year. We will keep the warmth around for a little bit, but much cooler air is on the way for cold weather lovers. Much cooler air is on the way, especially after Thanksgiving. The week after does look pretty chilly for most of the state. Now, let's go back to this thunderstorm chance we have on Monday. So here we go. Scattered thunderstorms in the afternoon, especially East Texas. So this would include areas like Tyler, down to Nacogdoches, down to Houston even, over to Beaumont, up to Texarkana. This will be the region right here. Gilmer, Linden, Shreveport, Louisiana, there's the chance for thunderstorms. You see those thunderstorms at 7 p.m. moving more into Louisiana and Arkansas. But again, some of those thunderstorms could be on the strong to severe side in East Texas. Most of the state is actually quiet, but on Monday, scattered thunderstorms could be severe. There's your severe weather outlook for Monday. It's a level 2 slight risk from Houston over to Waco, down to Austin, and then off to the east. So this would include all of southeast Texas and most of East Texas. DFW looks like just on the fringe of the marginal risk for Monday afternoon. San Antonio included in the marginal risk, so a couple of wind gusts of 60 miles an hour up to quarter-size hail, a very low but not zero threat for a spin-up tornado. That can't be ruled out, but it would likely be on the weaker side of the scale. Then as we get into Monday night, that all shifts out. leaving Tuesday quiet across the state. In fact, just a few clouds, that's all we'll have on Tuesday. Wednesday, we might spark a couple showers and thunderstorms down toward Corpus and Brownsville. Low chance for some scattered rain and thunderstorms down there. Most of the state again on Wednesday looks dry. Same thing for Thanksgiving as temperatures begin to fall. So as we take a look at the Texas forecast by region, West Texas, beautiful weather for the next several days. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday in El Paso, highs in the middle and upper 60s. A lot of sunshine. Lubbock, you're in the same boat. Midland, you're in the same boat as well. Looks really nice there. Down in central Texas, there's that chance for showers and storms from Austin, Waco to Fredericksburg with highs in the low to mid 70s, which is several degrees warmer than normal for this time of the year. Tuesday, still on the warm side. Cold front comes in and brings us down to the low 60s by the time we get to the day before Thanksgiving. South Texas, San Antonio, Corpus, Laredo, warm for a couple of days. In fact, Laredo may hit 90, getting real close on Tuesday. Then a little bit cooler by Wednesday. There's that chance. I did mention that chance for Wednesday in Corpus, some scattered showers and storms. North Texas, DFW, Weatherford, Denton, pretty consistent. Little chance of rain Monday. Tuesday, Wednesday gets a little bit cooler, but then dry Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thanksgiving Day. Then for East Texas, scattered showers and thunderstorms will be possible with some severe risk from Houston, Beaumont to Tyler. On Tuesday, it'll be dry. Wednesday, temperatures again on the cooler side than it has been. And then down in the valley, McAllen, 93 degrees on Monday. Tuesday, 92, very warm. Some more comfortable temperatures for sure move in for the middle part of the week with that low chance of rain, which would continue. Brownsville, you'll be near 90. It'll be windy on Monday. Tuesday, 91 degrees. Wednesday, 79. And again, McAllen does go back down to the middle 70s by Wednesday. Hope everybody has a great week and has a wonderful Thanksgiving.
Let's take a look at your headlines from Houston. I'm Cheryl Mercedes. New information is raising more questions about a funeral home tied to an identity theft investigation, one with a troubled past and no license to be open. This is the community funeral home on Wheeler Avenue. Our Orko Manna has been looking into its history.
We're learning a community funeral home was ordered to pay the Texas Funeral Service Commission a $500 administrative penalty in March 2019. Documents from the State Office of Administrative Hearings show that in October 2017, a purchase agreement for a family using the funeral home was not signed by the funeral home director making the arrangements as it was supposed to be. Fast forward a few years, and court documents reveal that the funeral home owner was charged with forging a fraudulent lien agreement in August of this year. According to the complaint, the signature was allegedly forged in order to do construction on the property and to avoid eviction. Police arrested the owner in early November, and their next court date for the misdemeanor forgery charge is in January. It also turns out the funeral home is unlicensed. Texas Funeral Service Commission records show that its license was revoked. That leads us to the most recent allegations. Houston police say several families who used the funeral home reported to police that their deceased loved ones had their identity stolen, including for their credit cards and financial accounts.
Investigators believe that someone at the funeral home is involved in that, so they served a search warrant there to obtain evidence. When they served the search warrant, they collected financial records and computers and that kind of stuff.
The community shocked.
It's pretty disgusting to think that somebody would stoop so low to steal the identity of someone that's passed away. You know, let them rest in peace.
HPD says when they executed the search warrant, a funeral service was going on. Investigators also found about 12 boxes of cremated remains that are in the process of being returned to loved ones.
We're just looking to get a response from you regarding the financial crimes and identity theft allegations.
I tried calling the funeral home owner multiple times and also contacted their attorney of record, but I'm still waiting to hear back. HPD says the owner was briefly detained, but then released pending further investigation. As of right now, no charges have been filed.
It could take a while to investigate exactly who was responsible for the identity theft.
Houston police say they're also working with the Texas Funeral Service Commission on their current investigation. Reporting from 3rd Ward, Orko Manna, KHOU 11 News.
A $10 million lawsuit has been filed against the University of Houston and a fraternity that was recently shut down over hazing allegations. According to the lawsuit, the Pi Kappa Phi Beta Nu chapter at UH is accused of punishing pledges by making them do extremely rigorous exercises for several hours at a time. Some of the exercises were so extreme, one pledge ended up in the hospital for 4 days with kidney failure. We talked to that student's attorney who says enough is enough.
There's cases out of Texas A&M right now, out of UT. It's a national problem with these, frats continue to haze and cause damage and sometimes death. And so it's just time for it all to stop.
We reached out to the University of Houston and the Pi Kappa Phi fraternity. Both said they don't comment on pending litigation. However, UH told us last week the investigation could result in criminal charges against any individual found responsible for hazing. A 15-year-old Houston boy is finally back home after being held in an immigration facility for more than a month. We've been following Emmanuel Gonzalez and his mother's fight to get him released after she says he was wrongfully detained. Anieli Ruiz was there for the emotional reunion on Friday.
With tears in her eyes, Emmanuel's mother says she's happy she got the call she had long been waiting for. Tonight, she was told to pick up her son. It was back on October 4th. Emmanuel went missing while she was selling fruit on a Houston street corner. He was picked up by police and turned over to the federal authorities, to the Office of Refugee and Resettlement for Unaccompanied Minors. A missing persons report was filed, but police said the name Emmanuel gave them didn't exactly match. So it wasn't until his mother appealed to the media that she found out where he was. But now, nearly 48 days later, the family's attorney said they went to federal court and won their case.
A federal judge determined that he was not an unaccompanied minor and he needed to be released to his mother.
Tonight, after Mom and Emmanuel and sister walked out of the building, I asked him how he felt.
Bien, feliz.
Emmanuel said he was happy. He didn't expect this. And Mother has this message for the mayor, John Whitmire, and the police chief, Noe Diaz. She says she hopes they can admit they made a mistake and hope they'll be willing to meet her son. But despite it all, she says she's grateful for a community that rallied behind them. Thanks to their support and thanks to God, she has her son back in her arms again.
That was Anieli Ruiz reporting. 2 Rice University students are creating the story of the pollution impact on Fifth Ward. This past weekend, the students creating a toxic waste archive took a tour of different sites and learned how they changed over time. Our Troy class followed along and spoke to the students about their work.
Throughout Fifth Ward, you have to use your senses.
But we want them to be able to see, to feel, to hear.
For example, how the Union Pacific Rail site impacted the health of surrounding communities. That's what students Catherine Cook and Shay Olaifa are doing on their bus tour.
Hearing about how vibrant Fifth Ward used to be and how the contamination and also highways and all the displacement really kind of shrunk the community from what it used to be.
Those changes evident at Evergreen Cemetery, the 3rd oldest for African Americans in Houston. Aljanita Scott Davis remembers the construction of Lockwood Drive near the cemetery.
But they were working with cardboard boxes, and what I now realized was that they were moving the bodies from one section of the cemetery.
The history shared on this bus tour could be part of a toxic waste archive. Cook and Olaifa are putting together the archive. They are in the Fondren Fellows program at Rice University, where the work will live once it's done.
We've collected documents from as early as the 1970s, and I think that's really cool, and I think it's really awesome that we get to create this story and house it in this awesome archive at Rice.
With the help of residents and community activists, they want to put Fifth Ward's history, both good and bad, in one place.
It's a good story, but what are we going to do to try to change the outcome of it?
In Fifth Ward, Troy Kless, KHOU 11 News.
That's a wrap of your Houston headlines. I'm Cheryl Mercedes.
In Austin, I'm Adam Bennett. Austin's City Council is moving forward with a new scaled-back budget after voters rejected a property tax hike. The vote last Thursday covers this fiscal year. They had to revise the budget passed back in August because voters rejected Proposition Q nearly 3 weeks ago. Now, property owners will still see their tax rate go up. It'll just be set at the maximum level allowed by the state. A typical Austin homeowner will see their property tax bill jump more than $100 per year. If Prop Q had passed, they'd be paying roughly $300 more. After the vote, Mayor Kirk Watson thanked voters.
And I said the night we passed this, we originally passed the budget, that it was now time to trust the voters. I believe the budget amendment that we just adopted reveals that we trusted the voters, we heard the voters, and we reacted to the voters. But I want to say thank you to the voters for engaging in the election and for sending the message.
A group of Austin residents is pushing the city to look closer at its spending. The group called Save Austin Now announced it's petitioning to put an item on the ballot for Austin voters. They want to require an external performance audit of the city budget at least once every 5 years. Under that plan, City Council won't be able to call a tax rate election without an efficiency audit within the previous year. Organizers say this is about making city government affordable, effective, and efficient.
We're excited about this opportunity to bring transparency and accountability to the city of Austin. Taxpayers deserve this. Our city leaders will benefit from this, whether they see that or not right now.
The group is hoping to get more than 25,000 signatures before February 1st. If they do that, a charter amendment could appear on the May ballot.
Motion passes 8 in favor, 0 opposed, 1 abstaining.
And another big vote, the Austin ISD board is moving forward with a school consolidation plan that closes 10 campuses. That approval happened around 2 a.m. Friday. It followed 9 hours of discussion by trustees. Nearly 4,000 students will be reassigned to different schools next school year. 7 of the schools that received F grades from the state will close, plus 3 others. Superintendent Matias Segura sent a letter to families saying staff will visit impacted campuses after fall break to answer questions. The plan now goes to the Texas Education Agency for final review. Well, ahead of the holidays, Austin Public Health is warning people about a spike in whooping cough cases. The health authority is reporting 154 cases of the virus so far this year. That's up from 84 in all of last year. Pertussis, or whooping cough, can start like a cold, but Health Authority Dr. Desmar Walks says patients develop a cough that can last for weeks or even months and lead to more serious problems.
You can become very, very ill, and particularly in young children, they can develop periods where they stop breathing. They may even turn blue.
Now, she says the best protection is a DTaP vaccine. Those are required for Texas schools. According to state immunization data, statewide, about 6.5% of 7th graders are not vaccinated against whooping cough. For Austin ISD, that rate jumps to almost 15%. The Travis County District Attorney's Office has dropped murder and deadly conduct charges against an Austin police officer. We learned about the special agreement between the DA's office and Officer Carl Krisha about 2 weeks ago. Now, Krisha and former Officer Christopher Taylor were charged in the shooting of Morris DeSilva in downtown Austin in 2019. DeSilva was experiencing a mental health crisis and had a knife. Taylor was convicted in his death and sentenced to prison. He is currently appealing that decision. A ruling could happen by the end of this year. Now, under the agreement, Krisha will have to teach a special course on how officers should deal with rapidly changing situations like those involving people suffering mental health episodes. Travis County DA Jose Garza released a statement on the agreement saying in part, quote, "Our hearts go out to the DeSilva family for the loss of Morris. Under this agreement, we are optimistic that Officer Krisha understands the importance of law enforcement agencies using training designed for officer and community safety," end quote. And APD Chief Lisa Davis says Krisha expressed a sincere intention to help prepare officers with this training. She says that aligns with APD's broader work to protect officers and the community. Well, former UT police chief is taking the university to court. Eve Stevens served as UT's first woman police chief for roughly a year before she was abruptly fired last September. Now, more than a year later, She says her firing was part of a coordinated purge of female officers from the department. KV's Daniel Perot spoke with Stevens' attorney.
I, Eve Stevens,
do solemnly swear.
Do solemnly swear.
A historic swearing in as the first Asian American police chief in the UT system and the first female chief of UT Austin.
She was working diligently, going above and beyond to try to be the best chief at UTPD that she could be.
In a lawsuit filed on Friday, Eve Stevens says she was fired without cause despite receiving a positive performance review and merit raise. Her attorney, Melissa Holman, calls the circumstances of her departure unique and unparalleled.
They're completely contrary to established UT system policy for how these things need to be conducted.
The lawsuit claims the person who replaced Stevens was an unqualified, hand-picked white male successor who never applied for the job and did not have the minimum years of experience required.
I believe the evidence points to the fact that Eve Stevens' termination was motivated by her race, her national origin, and her sex.
According to the legal filing, her supervisor for 7 months, UT Vice President for Legal Affairs, Amanda Cochran McCall, did not want to have women in leadership positions. In September 2024, Cochran McCall allegedly informed Stevens that she was being fired and could choose to resign and become a special advisor for 2 months instead, which Stevens did.
The lack of an explanation and the public speculation about why she had been forced to resign has essentially caused her to lose the career that she loved and that she had devoted herself to.
Shortly after, the suit alleges the executive communications director for UTPD, the only other Asian American female leader at the department, was also terminated. At least 7 other female employees in the department left shortly after. The lawsuit said after Stevens' departure, other female officers lived in a culture of fear and believed they could be fired at any moment.
Essentially, there was an environment of impunity where he was given free rein to target, belittle, condescend, harass.
With this lawsuit, Holman says Stevens wants to make sure UT changes its ways to ensure no one else is treated like she was.
That was Daniel Perot reporting. A spokesperson for UT Austin says the university plans to respond to the lawsuit in court. We reached out to the UT system for their response. We have not heard back. UT Austin's newest president is now one of the highest paid university leaders in the country. During a meeting last week, the UT Board of Regents approved a $1.25 million annual salary and tenure for President Jim Davis. He'll make slightly less than former university president Jay Hartzell. Hartzell made $1.45 million altogether last year. Davis will make more than UT Chancellor John Zerwas. The board also approved his employment deal. That comes with a $975,000 annual salary. Those are the headlines. In Austin, I'm Adam Bennett.
Hi, I'm Leslie Adamy in Corpus Christi, and here's a look at some of what's happening in South Texas. Highway 361 has a long history of serious and in some cases deadly crashes. Well, now there's finally some movement on making that stretch of road safer. Michael Gibson has the latest from state leaders.
Highway 361 has a reputation as a dangerous roadway, especially at night. It's only 2 lanes for most of its 15-mile stretch. There's no lighting, and it has a history of crashes and deadly wrecks. That's why the state says it's redesigning the roadway with 2 travel lanes in both directions along with improved lighting. But before a single bulldozer shows up, TxDOT has to finish environmental studies and schematic design.
It's a highway, a roadway that needs to be improved. It's very dark. It needs to be lighted so people can see, but it also continually needs to be improved.
Representative Todd Hunter also says both the 361 project and the Second Causeway are moving through the required state and federal steps, and that takes time, especially here along the coast.
You may not necessarily see day-to-day work, but they've assured me that they are looking at it. They're going to have the plan. It's what I've been pushing for.
Nueces County Commissioner Brent Chesney says slow isn't good enough, and he wants Austin to hear it loud and clear.
We've got to do everything we can to scream and yell from the rooftops that 361 has to be improved, and it can't wait until 2030.
He says the project should be fast-tracked immediately.
The governor loves the Nueces County area. I have no reason to believe if he got wind of this that he would be very involved and want to be involved in fast-tracking this, because we don't need any more debate. We don't need any more environmental impact studies. We need to buy the right-of-way. We need to expand the road. We need to put lighting on it. This should be a priority project.
Michael Gibson with that report. A recent hailstorm left hundreds of birds injured in the coastal bend. The Amos Rehabilitation Keep has been working nonstop to save them, and now many are finally ready to return home to the wild. Our Natalia Osuna brings us along for one of those releases.
After experiencing severe injuries during a recent hailstorm, hundreds of rescued birds are now returning home. Andrew Orgel with the Amos Rehabilitation Keep.
It's really fun to see.
Has been leading rescue efforts since the start.
Initial day we had a call there might have been 6 to 8 injured pelicans. We came back with 30 and then ended up with 420 at the end of the week.
Now seeing them take flight once again.
This will be right at about 40 birds that we've released. We still have about 90 left that are still undergoing care.
Those birds that haven't been released are showing positive signs.
Some of those are starting to fly. A lot of those wing fractures are recovering. The eye injuries resolved. The neurological symptoms from head trauma resolved. And a lot of them are doing a lot better than we ever could have hoped for.
And teamwork made it all possible.
We're lucky we have great partner organizations here and across the state.
Amanda Terry with the Texas Sea Life Center.
Andrew called me and said, hey, if you're bored, you want to come check out some pelicans.
Is one of those partners who responded to the call.
Was kind of blown away with the amount. They're big birds, so 100 birds takes up a lot of space. But we got through those exams.
Helping those birds now spread their wings.
To see these guys get back out and to hear Andrew say that everybody at the Ark is doing well and they're going to have the same story. That's why we do this.
Orgel saying the hailstorm served as a wake-up call to prepare for future emergencies.
It kind of made everyone realize, what resources are available, how we could improve or change things if it were to happen again. And if we have a hurricane or something that requires evacuation.
And those birds that haven't been released will soon join the flock.
2 to 4 weeks, we have a pretty good idea of who is going to be releasable at that point, but it's looking like a lot of them are.
Natalia Osuna, 3 News.
And we so love this update for our feathered friends. Thank you, Natalia. That's a quick look at some of what's happening here in South Texas.
I'm Vanessa Croy, and this is the news in San Antonio. A man is fighting for his life in the hospital after a shooting outside a North Side club early Sunday morning. It happened just after 2 Sunday morning when officers were called out to Tuscany Stone, that's near 1604 and Stone Oak Parkway, after police say a disturbance inside a club spilled out into the parking lot. Police say a man was then trying to leave with his friends when someone from the other group pulled out a gun and started shooting. The man was hit in the head. The victim rushed to the hospital in critical condition. Police say the shooter took off and officers searched the area, but so far, no arrests have been made. A roof collapse created a dangerous situation for San Antonio firefighters as they battled a 3-alarm fire at a Northwest Side apartment complex. Crews rushed out just after 10 Saturday night to the Mark condos off Huebner Oaks. Firefighters say what started as a smoldering fire in a common balcony area quickly spread into the walls and attic space. Sprinklers inside the apartments did help slow the flames, but it turned into a very labor-intensive battle. Officials say that crews had to rip open walls, ceilings, floors, even parts of the attic to find hidden hotspots. At one point, the weight of all that water and damage from the fire caused a floor to collapse.
Fortunately, it appears that whatever started it collapsed the roof then into that apartment, which presents another problem as far as figuring out what started it.
More than 45 units were dispatched to get that fire under control, and about a dozen apartments were affected. All residents were evacuated safely and no one was hurt. Arson is now investigating what caused the fire. A traffic stop in San Antonio's school zone led to a big drug and weapons bust. This is all according to Texas DPS. Troopers say it happened Thursday morning when a driver was pulled over for speeding in a school zone. 2 other men were also in the car. A search turned up more than 100 THC vape cartridges, THC and a stash of marijuana, and multiple handguns. All 3 men were taken into custody. A person is dead and another in critical condition after a motorcycle crash that shut down part of Highway 281 on Saturday. It happened just before noon where 281 meets Evans Road. The San Antonio Fire Department tells us one of the victims is still in the hospital in critical condition. Right now, it's still unclear what led up to the crash. The family of a young San Antonio mother killed in a crash this week is honoring her memory and now demanding answers. Police say they didn't find 28-year-old Jolie Pesina's body during their first search of the scene. As KENS 5's Mike Jimenez tells us, it was Pesina's own family who found her nearly 36 hours later.
While Jolie Pesina's family is honoring and remembering her, they're also calling for answers.
We were already one piece. Now we're not. Our family feels broken, hurt.
Saturday morning, family and friends of 21-year-old Jolie Pesina came together at the spot where she lost her life in a crash on Monday. Pesina's family says she was big-hearted and a loving mother.
She really cared and focused about family.
But as the family grieves, there are mounting questions surrounding the crash. Police say just before 6 a.m. Monday, officers along with the San Antonio Fire Department responded to Southwest Loop 410 near Highway 16 for a possible crash.
What we do know is that it was a cellular service that sent the call to dispatch. We went out there and were not able to locate any kind of accident.
There were no witnesses and the scene was cleared by 6:15 Monday morning, according to police. Pesina's family say they tried calling and texting her Monday. When she did not respond and Tuesday came around, her family says they really became concerned and filed a missing persons report. Desperate for answers, the family went to the area Tuesday night, about 36 hours after police had searched the area. They were able to find Pesina. She had crashed in a ravine.
I'm still in shock. I still can't wrap my head around the whole thing, so it's hard.
Police say Pesina was recovered about 1 mile from where police and firefighters were called out. Pesina's family say it's a discovery they didn't want to make, but now they want answers.
We're getting our answers. We're in the process, so we just have to take it slowly, day by day.
Police say it's an unfortunate situation and their hearts go out to the family, understanding their grief. And the accident is under investigation. Mike Jimenez, KENS 5.
Here are your headlines from Southeast Texas. I'm Ebony Coleman. We're following new developments out of Port Neches where a body was found in a canal. He's now been identified as 68-year-old Mike Giblin, a former Port Neches Groves football star. That's according to Justice of the Peace Brad Burnett. Port Neches police say Giblin was found in a canal off of Sabine Lane. Now, the canal runs parallel to the street and sits just off of Twin City Highway. Judge Burnett said someone noticed the body and called the police. Burnett says it appears to be an accidental drowning. An autopsy has been ordered. Port Neches police are now leading the investigation. And a man in Jasper is back at home after he was found in the woods. Deputies say he had been missing since Thursday. Jasper County Sheriff Chuck Havard says 96-year-old Federico Camacho was found by members of Texas EquuSearch. Sheriff Havard says he was found in the area that was a part of the search grid. He appeared to be coherent and healthy, but as a precaution, he was taken to the hospital. Mr. Camacho was last seen leaving his home on foot, the 700 block of Hunt Street, Thursday. Search parties deployed an infrared thermal drone and human tracking dogs from multiple agencies to find him. And Beaumont ISD is moving ahead with a new state-mandated safety rules. The district approved 22 rifle-rated ballistic shields. The nearly $75,000 cost is fully covered by a state grant under the Uvalde Strong Act. It now requires every Texas campus to have at least one shield. The equipment is designed to protect officers during an active shooter situation. Former Sheriff and Judge Carl Griffith donated shields after the Uvalde tragedy. He says his goal is to help protect both students and officers who serve them.
And I knew from all my 24 years in law enforcement that clearly if some of those agencies didn't have those shields and they didn't have them on their duty 8 to 5 shifts or whatever shifts they were working.
Griffin says supporting school safety is critical, adding that students are the next generation and deserve every protection possible. And a leadership change is coming to Lamar State College in Port Arthur. Dr. John Hayek will step in as interim president on January the 1st. This comes after Dr. Betty Renard announced her retirement. Dr. Hayek serves as the system's vice chancellor for academic and health affairs. He says he plans to spend the spring semester assessing the college's needs. And a Groves native is headed back home to give back. Former Radio City Rockette Alyssa Martin is hosting master classes this weekend in Nederland. News reporter Spencer Plato spoke with Martin, who says the choice to give back to her community was a no-brainer.
The hardest job I've ever had in my entire life, but it was also worth it, worth every second of it.
Born and raised in Groves, Alyssa Martin always knew she loved to dance. After graduating from Sam Houston State University with a degree in musical theater, she chased her dream.
Fell in love, obviously, with performing and did some cruise ships and some musicals.
City Rockettes.
All the way to Radio City.
I auditioned and got the job and kind of stuck with it until my last year was for 10 years, so my last year was 2019.
Once she retired from that iconic stage, Martin headed to Houston to teach classes. She has since returned to her hometown of Groves.
I wanted to offer classes and master classes and experiences with something that we don't get back at home, right? Like growing up dancing, if you wanted to have master classes from something, from a Broadway style person or LA, like you had to leave and go travel for these experiences and these options.
Through precision dance training, she hopes young performers don't feel like their big dreams are out of reach.
It kind of feels like I can let these kids know that you can, if this were to be a dream of yours, it can be accessible and that you can have those big aspirations and go chase them.
She says her message is simple. Big dreams can be reality.
You have to put in the work and you have to put yourself out there and take the risks to leave and go audition and go do something that might really scare you, but the benefits outweigh the fear.
In Beaumont, Spencer Plato, 12 News.
And those were your headlines from Southeast Texas.
Hi, I'm Ayana Aird, and here's what's making headlines across East Texas. A stunning new break in one of East Texas's most haunting cold cases. After 4 decades, investigators have identified a third suspect in the 1983 Kentucky Fried Chicken murders. The brutal abduction and killing of 5 people taken from a KFC in Kilgore and executed at a Rusk County gas well. I have more on what we learned Friday. For 40 years, families and prosecutors have been waiting for one missing piece of the puzzle. One of the most well-known East Texas brutal murder cases.
I don't know any words to describe. Devastating.
That's the husband of Opie Hughes, one of the 5 victims, Mary Tyler, Opie Ann Hughes, Joey Johnson, David Maxwell, and Monty Landers. All were abducted from a Kilgore KFC and executed at a Rusk County gas well.
I think the main thing was disbelief, to realize that it happened here.
But on Friday, after 42 years, new genealogy testing by the Texas Rangers finally answered the last question in this case.
We've been able to confirm that the DNA is that of a man by the name of Devin Riggs.
Investigators confirmed the DNA belongings to Devin Riggs, a man with a lengthy criminal history in East Texas and California. Riggs died in 2010.
And we were trying to make some determinations from the physical evidence, and it was then that we learned that there was another DNA sample that nobody knew about that had never been discovered. And that was a DNA sample on the clothes clothing of one of the victims.
Romeo Pinkerton and Darnell Hartsfield were convicted years ago, but it's still unclear if Riggs was connected to them.
I will tell you that it has gnawed at me since I've learned of it, because I thought, how in the world did we miss him? We've eliminated 231 people. How did we miss this guy?
Investigators say Riggs left Texas in 1985 before DNA databases existed, making him impossible to track back then.
That we have fulfilled our duty as a county, as a community, as a state of Texas, as law enforcement officers and prosecutors do everything we could to bring about justice.
After the announcement, the families were emotional, grateful to finally have answers after more than 4 decades.
And closure for me is going to be when I draw my last breath. That's when his punishment starts. And so I told him, I hope you live 100 years, and I want to live to be 110, and I want the last thing that goes through your mind to be my eyes looking at you.
I'm Ayana Aird, CBS 19. And this July, an East Texas family added to the bunch by adopting a small girl named Ellie. Shortly after her adoption, doctors discovered a racquetball-sized tumor in her brain. What's followed has been an endless cycle of treatment and trips to a Dallas hospital. Saturday, the Tyler community came together to support the family. Will Riddell has more.
Saturday, over 150 auto enthusiasts popped open their hoods with purpose to help raise money for a Tyler family. Tyler and Charity's 19-month-old daughter Ellie has been diagnosed with a rare form of brain cancer.
That is actually what they call her at Children's. They call her the miracle baby because she has defied all the odds.
Ellie has gone through multiple rounds of chemotherapy, months of radiation, and even an 8-hour surgery where she was face down the entire time. Miraculously, she's still here and still smiling.
And it's really been an inspiration to us to keep going because she's never quit. And so she's an amazing, amazing little girl.
It goes without saying that Ellie's treatment has come with unimaginable costs, physically and mentally, but also financially. Saturday's fundraiser, organized by Bubba's 33 and Tyler's Raceway Car Club, will help to alleviate some of the burden.
Just having the community rally around people who don't even know us, but are coming up to us and telling us that they're praying for us every single day, that means everything, because on the hard days, that's what carries us through.
Prayers and support from total strangers, plus an unshakable faith in God. That's the fuel the Pride family is using to push forward.
We're not giving up, and whatever the Lord wants to do, we're open to that, but we're praying for complete healing, and until that happens, we're going to keep enjoying every minute that we can with her.
It's been a long journey, and one that still isn't over, but the Pride family isn't riding alone. In Tyler, Will Riddell, CBS 19.
Well, I'm Ayana Aird, and that's a wrap for East Texas News Headlines.